Hello, everyone. Welcome to this wonderful Q&A session with the two developers of Samobee Games, which made the wonderful game that we will be talking about today, Princess Farmer. So you'll get to ask a few questions, but first and foremost, I will introduce myself. So I'm DrKrabby. I'm a fellow volunteer for Qweerty Gamers, a charity that seeks to empower LGBTQIA marginalized folks who are trying to make it into the game industry and promote visibility and representation in the game industry. So my pronouns are he, him, and without further ado, I would like our two guests to introduce themselves, if they would
You go first.
Hi. My name's Charlene. My pronouns are she, her. Um, I do the art. I did the game design, and I did the story of Princess Farmer. Right? That's the.
Yeah.
We're trying to break it into the main three.
And I am Toby, and I'm the other half of Samobee Games, and I am the programmer, writer, and level designer.
That is fantastic. You've already answered one of my first questions, which was who did what within the game. But before I ask a few questions myself, I would like us to watch the trailer for the game. So let me set this up.
Is that our launch trailer?
Fun, fun.
Oh.
Isn't that adorable? Isn't that the cutest, most wholesome game you've ever seen?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my first question, probably the most difficult one of all of them, but I would like to know if you could summarize the game in one sentence, each of you. What would you say?
You first.
Me first. Oh, no. Uh, magical bunny farmer. Match 3 visual novel. There you go.
Um, oh, I'll probably take the same thing. It's a match three visual novel starring a magical girl bunny farmer.
I love
I
that.
love that. Thank you so much. And I promise all my other questions are much easier.
It's hard to do the elevator pitch.
I know.
Oh, for sure, right? So, as I was going through I was looking just out of curiosity, I was looking at all the reviews that people were saying, and I guess the word that came out the most often is the word charming, and I could not agree more. I feel like everything about it is so enticing, from the music, the sound effects, to the animations, the pixel art. Everything is so adorable and seductive, I guess, for my little retro heart. So I was wondering what your inspirations were for Princess Farmer.
Oh gosh. Well, the idea of Princess Farmer started something like 8 years ago, I think. Maybe it's been 10, but it was just the idea of magical girling up something mundane that's not generally considered a magical thing. Um, like the idea that Sailor Moon, Sailor Scouts don't, that doesn't mean anything if you don't know what magical girls are and if you don't know what Sailor Moon is. So that idea of a princess farmer doesn't really make logical sense, but it does make magical sense if that. So I was running on that for a few years. We didn't have a gameplay idea. Um, and then I wanted to make a match 3 puzzle game because I love them, and I didn't really get a chance to make them in studios. Um, so from that point, it was just figuring out how we were going to do it. My first pixel art, I haven't really animated much. Um, so the first tests I did were too much, just way too much animation. I did like a few sprites. It's like, I will never draw this game. Um, so I went for Game Boy sized because I love Game Boy. I really love portable gaming in general. It was a magical thing. So we built the first build of the game on a Game Boy size. So everything was built around Game Boy screen proportions. Um, we ended up blowing it up after that because people were having a hard time matching with limited colors, which is super valid. And as much as I love the Game Boy aesthetic, I want to make it as easy for people to play as possible. So we went for a larger color palette and a larger screen. So now we could add more detail and size. So the pixel art starts at about Game Boy, like 8-bit sized sprites. Um, but we're at um, what size screen? I think we're at like a 16-bit screen, but we have more 8-bit style sprites. But I also just, we don't follow palette rules, and I blend whatever I want um, and break rules. So I have a limited Master System palette that I'm using, um, but I blend them together, and I have certain rules that I follow. So it's Master System colors with 8-bit Master System Game Geary um, look, I think, because I love that style.
Perfect. Yes, I have to say, when I first played it, it reminded me so much. I don't know if you know the game Wario's Wood for the Super
Oh,
Nintendo.
for sure. Hmm.
It gave me big feels like that, and I love that game. So of course I love that one, but of course with a much deeper underlying narrative. But just in terms of aesthetics, it really reminded me of that.
I love Wario's Woods. I love the 16-bit puzzle games. Like that 90s era was definitely where I was trying to hit. I love that style of games. The Magical Drop series is a very important one for me. I love that one. But those action puzzle games where you're controlling a character more than the board, I really like those, and those don't really get made anymore. Um, so that was the first game I wanted to make when we were on our own. Was I want to make a proper puzzle game, and it'll be really quick. Don't worry, and we'll make it really fast, and we'll just get it out, and we'll move on to something else. And then it's been years, um, but we're out.
Yep. We did it.
Yes, of course. And I forgot to say congratulations on getting it out. So it came out not even a month ago, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It is.
It is. It's amazing to release anything. Frankly, it's really hard.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. And so I was wondering, what was the drive behind starting a game company? So this is your first project, right? If my research is correct. So Samobee Games, what made you want to start this together as a wife-wife duo and work on games together and work on that game specifically?
Do you want this one or shall I keep going?
You keep going. I will add something at the end
Okay.
though. Yeah.
Okay. Um, we, I've been working in games for, oh gosh, I think I realized it's 15 years this
Mm,
year.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so I've been working in games for 15 years, it turns out. I
Mhm.
started as an artist and I didn't really realize I was a game developer until like years of working as an artist in games. So uh, there were just things I wanted to make that I couldn't. No matter what I did, I can't get into programming. I'm not a numbers gal. It's not my thing. Um, so we I would keep designing up things on the side, and B would keep practicing programming because she liked programming, um, and was just kind of working on it. And we were both kind of working on things, but we weren't really working together. Um, we were working on a game together that didn't go well because we made it in super stressed conditions and it was free to play, and we're not. Um, we come from free to play studios, but we're not good free to play designers. I'm not good at designing it. So we're not very aggressive about things. Anyway, the free to play is hard, especially live service with two people was a mistake. So um, we wanted to do something completely different than anything we've ever done before, both coming from live service games from where we used to work and the horrible experience of what we tried to make. Um, so we did everything that we weren't allowed to do elsewhere. So we went for aggressively girly and pink and magical girl and match three and just everything that wasn't allowed before to see, I don't know, to see what we would, how we would go. And we meshed on it really, really well, better than any other project we've tried together. Um, and we've started working on it on our own because this is just frankly, we were in a small town, we had lost our jobs, and we didn't know what else to do but make games. So, um, yeah, so we started making games.
Yeah, it just seemed like the logical thing for us to do. Um, yeah, we were both in the games industry. I wasn't a programmer or a writer or a level designer. I was in administration, and I taught myself to program. And I dabbled. I did some stuff, but it was kind of aimless until we did our that first project, and it was so hard, and I made so many mistakes, but uh, and I had to take some time off from doing any of that. And then Charlene was really pushing for this game, and she did this great animation of what it would look like to help me know how to create it. And so it's made in Game Maker, but I did a tutorial in Unity to create it. It's a little strange, and uh, and I did it all wrong, and it just kept learning, kept growing, and eventually it came together.
Mm.
That
But we
is
were
absolutely
supposed to be
fantastic.
just a short, like compact thing. Like we were thinking, oh, we're just gonna bang out games one every 8 months, and that'll be great. 2 years later, yeah,
That is so fantastic. So you basically learned as you made the project and grew with it in a way.
yes, absolutely.
For
So
sure. A big, like, something that really helped with that is that we went for an episodic format for the story so we could contain an episode and we could make an episode and learn from this episode. We could polish this episode and then we could make another one and learn from what we did. So it was the dev process really worked out for us because we were able to compartmentalize sections of the game that I don't know if otherwise we would have figured out how to carve out, here's a vertical slice of this section that we want to try out on people. Because of the episodes, we were able to um, yeah, get polished builds out and to learn each time we did and get people to play them and get better as we went with them.
Mhm.
That is fantastic. And on top of that, the episode format really fits in that whole retro aesthetic. You
Mm,
put in the little game and then you see it loaded. It's super cute. So it totally fits all together. I love that.
I'm
Oh, that's great.
glad. I
So,
still wanted that 90s anime fan with your import
Hmm.
Wonder Swan and your import tapes and stuff. It's very important.
right. So how long did the game take to make in total?
Is it
Uh,
2 or 3?
3. I think I started programming in February 2019. I think
Yeah.
that's how it went. Yeah.
Then I was doing the concept art like the November before that.
Hmm.
Wow, that's great. And it's such a big game, so it was impressive to me that only two developers made all aspects of it because it's many aspects, right? So did you also make the music for it?
We had someone do that for us.
Someone pretty awesome,
Hmm.
and Astra is in the chat right now.
Oh,
So
good.
please
Hi,
say
Astra.
hi.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, we had our how what were we saying? Our music Tanuki
Yes.
was looking after that,
Yes.
and she does a great job. Her music is so
Fantastic.
good.
So good. Yeah,
That
there she is.
that's
I
fantastic. So my next question was, so I saw that you published with Whitethorn Games,
mhm.
which made other fantastic games that I've actually played on stream here and written reviews about. So Lake and Teacup. So I think it's great that you teamed up. I was wondering what the process of publishing with them was like. Did you approach them? Did they approach you? How has it been?
So we had a very tiny Twitter presence for a bit, and I guess I just started posting some videos to get attention in like threads of like, hey, show off what you're working on, and got a reply or a message from Whitethorn saying, hey, you should reach out to us. And so I researched because we did not want
Mm,
to do a publisher at all because we know how bad the industry is and how predatory they are. So we just didn't want to. But then I did the research and I figured out, oh, these people are really good. So
mm.
um,
And we were really into Calico at the time. Like the
yes,
Kickstarter had just happened.
yes, yep.
Um, so we were like, well, we really like Calico, and
Hmm. And I did reach out to Kels and
mhm.
asked, hey, what's up with them? So yeah, we ended up connecting. It was a bit of a back and forth and a wait, and while they were figuring things out, and then they signed up with us, and it's been amazing. And really, really,
Mhm.
really, really positive experience. Yeah.
We the the minute we got signed, we were in the middle of table flipping our game, um, because we had a build. We had a color build, not just a Game Boy build. We had a larger color build that we had some people play, and the reaction from everyone was, I can't wait to play this story. And we had no story planned. Like, that was not, it yeah, it wasn't going to happen. Like, it was not on our radar. Um, and then Whitethorn was approaching us, and then they signed us, and we went, cool, we're actually going to make this into a story. Bye. And like the game was totally table flipped. Everything that we thought, everything we told them we were going to do, um, was like, we're not doing that anymore. We don't know what we're doing yet. We'll get back to you about it. Um, and then we figured it out and put together an E3 trailer, or not E3. It felt like E3. The It was E3 season,
Yeah, yeah.
that first E3 season, when there was all sorts of digital shows popping up. Um, we got a video put together for that, and in E3 fashion, it was all duct tape and fakery. We had nothing working, um, and people seemed to like that. So then we spent 2 years making it. First, it was first it was a while banging the engine to work into this seamless scrolling from story to gameplay boards, back to story. Um, Figuring out that whole flow took a while. That was the largest one, and then when we got over that, it was okay. Now we have 8 more episodes to do. Because I decided to make it 9 episodes because the first season of Ranma one half on VHS was 9 tapes. And I
I
decided
love that.
early in that is a super important thing to do. If we're going to do anything, it's going to be 9 episodes. Um, so then we had to come up with another 8 episodes, and it was a lot of work. And by the end, we figured out a faster process as it went, and you learn as you go, and you get more of that assembly line down. Um, by the end, we were a lot faster, but it took a while to get going.
Yeah, it was broken for quite a few months.
Yeah,
While I basically built this entire wild system, not really knowing how to build stuff like that. And so I just, I don't know, I started from the basics and thought, okay, how much do I need to know? And then I would guess everything wrong because Charlene likes to do different things. I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's always going to be to the right. It's always going to be along the same y axis. Oh, it's not anymore. Okay.
to
Rebuild everything.
to
Yeah.
be fair, you would say things like, "We're never going to scroll up, right?" And I'll be like, "No, no, no, we're never going to do that." And then a few months later, I'll hand you the
Yeah.
notes for an episode, like, "Oh yeah, we're scrolling up in this one."
I'll be like, no, you told me.
You said you promised, but it's better. It's more interesting if we can scroll up in this part.
Mhm. I will
So
never forgive you for the ski lift though.
I
That
know,
that was a lot.
yeah, that was cruel of me, and I apologize. We spent like 2 months making a ski lift um, that has an endless loop. No, actually, it has an end because we had to time it.
Mhm.
It has a beginning and an end, and it loops until you get to the end, and it has a slow transition in the background where it gets into like the night sky. It's this whole thing that happens, and it's just for a conversation scene. And I just put it in to be as fancy as possible because I remember I used to work at Club Penguin, and I remember when we worked at Club Penguin, one of the biggest ticket deals, like as far as the artists were concerned, was when some of the artists made the would reanimate the ski lift.
Mm.
Huge deal. That's really hard to do, especially with the layering and getting the objects, especially in Flash. It was a whole thing. So I wanted to do that too for no reason no one asked for. But we were on a ski hill, and if we're on a ski hill, I feel we should have a ski lift. Um, but yes,
Well, the process sounds painful, but I can say the outcome is beautiful. So that's all I can say from my player perspective.
I
Yeah.
can be cruel, It's like the God of War, where I demanded nothing but a single shot for the entire game. Stuff like that. Not to that extreme, but it is like we did spend 2 months on that ski lift.
Yes.
Wow. Speaking of gameplay, one of the things that I appreciated the most as a player in the game is the three options. So, if you, all the viewers, haven't played, you can play in puzzle mode, action mode, or balance mode. And I really love that. I really appreciated that. I just went back and forth depending on my mood, you know? And the fact that there's no big or high stakes in terms of narrative for whatever you choose. So viewers, players have the option to do whatever suits their abilities, whatever suits their mood. So I really enjoyed that. How did that idea come about?
Well, I'll start it and then I'll hand it off.
Yeah.
So it started with I was doing the balancing. I was coming from the game design background, but I hate game balancing. But I'm like, I'll do the balancing. Um, so I balanced episode 2 at first, and it was okay. Um, it was very typical. We were just speed at this point, just speed. Um, I really kept pushing for the game to be as responsive as possible. Back to the six, I love that 90s style. I need things to click. Um, so I kept pushing for that, and I just balanced around that. And then we did episode 5, and I did the balance for it. And I did such a bad job that no one finished the episode. And they would stop playing before the ski lift, like right before the ski lift, every time. And we kept watching stream after stream of this happen. Um, and we came to the decision pretty soon after that. Like, I handed it off to B. I think she started doing some of it, and she did so well. It was like, "You're doing all of it. Goodbye." Um, and she came up with the rest.
So while we were while we were building these levels, I would keep throwing questions at her like, "Here are some goal ideas. Here are some reward ideas. What do you want?" And she would just be like, "2 minutes. Okay, I'll do that." And so I kept doing this, and I'm thinking, I've got this whole thing that I've got these ideas about. And then we noticed that with the streams, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna try some stuff and see how it goes. And
Did you just call me a 2-minute girl on stream?
oh my god.
But I think you're right. I think I did keep saying 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Just make it 2 minutes. The goal
It
is
was
2
the
minutes.
5-minute one that everybody just was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started putting in some other goals and some other ideas, and she would throw new board shapes at me, and then everything just kind of went together with it. And um she wasn't enjoying the way that I was building some of the levels, though, because she just wants to play. She doesn't want to think about it. But I was sitting there going, I really want to think about this, and this is so much fun. And so we used to have Soft Bunny,
Tough bunny?
Tough Bunny, and Diamond Bunny. So those were the three like difficulty levels, and it would just basically ramp up like how long you would have to play or how many matches you would have to make. So with the new one, it was the Action Bunny, Puzzle Bunny, Balance Bunny. Action Bunny, she would enjoy playing because it's just fast and fun, and like you just play. You don't have to really think about what you're doing. But with Puzzle Bunny, you actually have to plan the moves where like for example, you have to get as many diagonal matches as you can within 500 points. So you try to start thinking of how can I avoid other matches other than diagonal matches. And so it's really about planning, but it's still a match 3 game. And I felt like while I was doing this, like, this is kind of unique. And I think we came out with something pretty cool in that respect. And
Mm.
I feel good about it. And I think that people have been responding really well to it. So, yeah.
It's really neat. I totally take no credit because I couldn't do any of the balancing, let alone have input on it. I just wasn't there. And the idea of a thinking one, again, because we pushed the engine so far, we found we were able to do such a range of things with our puzzle game. And it became like every idea that Toby would throw at it seemed to work. So it started becoming how can we use this instead of the idea of just making things harder was boring, um, very boring, and I don't think we even started that. Like I had the art for it, but we didn't start the balance for it because it was like this just isn't interesting to either of us. And the thing we kept finding is we need to find what will make this interesting, so we'll build it. Because if it's not interesting to us, I think we repeatedly find we won't build it. We'll just avoid it until it's like this thing isn't done, and it needed to be done, and we'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't know, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I love that. One thing I would like to talk about is I would like to hear you on queerness within the game. So I love the little details. Like some of them are very subtle, like the lesbian and non-binary flag in the shop, but also you're outspoken about being a wife and wife duo, and on Twitter your profile picture has the queer progressive flag. So I was wondering what place queerness or LGBTQIA topics have for you as developers, but also about the representation within the game as well.
It's a core thing. Um, it's one of those things where we I don't think we were going to go that hard with it when we started developing. Um, but also we've gotten more in touch with ourselves and our queerness as development has gone on. So things have just kind of inevitably gotten queer as we've gone. Um, so the game is very much made. The super fun thing has been watching streams where people who are very straight um, will play the game and say, this was so cute and wholesome and pure. And then we'll have queer people play it and they'll be like, oh my God, did you actually say that?
I
And I'll
love
be like,
that. I can see
Did
exactly
I
what you
mean
mean.
it?
yeah, like,
It's all intentional.
did that mean that she's gonna eat? It's like, yeah, that's what that
Yeah.
means. Um, the transformation beam that happens is the trans flag colors, very much on purpose. Uh, uh, the guardian, what is it? The symbol, the transformation token is lipstick,
Hmm.
um, shaped like. I know we don't really ever show it. It's supposed to be like a very chunky.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be
Hmm.
like this very chunky kind of case. Um, and the all of the characters are pretty much queer, but we don't call it out other than it just happens.
Hmm.
So, oh, there's things I don't want to talk about. There's things that happen at the end that I don't want to go into, but you can, if you play it a certain way and you know your things, you'll know what's happening on that last bit. Um, and if you don't, it's a very different vibe. It's very gal pals friendship kind of thing. So it's in everything we have, including I've got pride flags buried into the different hair dyes. Um, there's all sorts of things like that. Some of the buildings I drew, I had a story that they were like lesbians together, like the owners of it. There's one that's the goth house, and the like pink sparkly house are next to each other, and they're sharing Halloween decorations with each other that go across, like they're sharing their decorations in an intimate way across their condos. There's all sorts of little things I've sunk into the game that, right down to the Ranma reference, um, to Tuxedo Mask being MASC. Um, we decided to just be super authentic. Same with it's the same reason so many of the characters are fat. It's just the to be authentic to ourselves and to not make a big deal out of our identities and um, just show them in a story instead of a story about their identities. It's
Mhm.
here's some fat queer bunnies, on an adventure together, not here's queer fat bunny struggling with her queerness or anything like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really love the idea that there's different layers to the game, right? If you have access to those sort of queer codes, you get a deeper sort of insight into the game, and I absolutely love that. And if you don't have access to those codes, that's totally fine. You know, if you're straight, you just think it's cute, you think it's wholesome, which it is, but
Yeah. Our kid has played it.
Yes, she loves it. Um,
She loves it.
um, One of the characters she created, um, and is partially based on her, like a more grown up version. And another one she created, she asked for this Lily, right?
No, Tulip.
Tulip. She asked for Tulip to be created so that there were certain things I had to do for her. Um, but oh no, I forgot it.
Is it about the pronouns?
No, I forgot it. It was such a good point, too.
Oh no.
It was really killer.
Okay.
well, if it ever comes back, feel free to interrupt me at any point to tell me what that point was. So I was wondering, what part of that whole project did you find the most challenging, each of you?
Mm.
Yeah, the grown-up stuff. The stuff where we have to deal with money or neurotypical people or like fill out forms,
Mm.
do Steam. um, yeah, anything to do with the business, I'm not good at social media, anything like that, so I can't do that.
Um, yeah, I avoided the business stuff entirely. I avoided the programming. I never even opened Game Maker on this project, which is my secret. Um, the hardest thing for me was the animations, um, and like character animations were probably the hardest. And I really wanted to do full screen or larger panel close ups, and I wasn't able to pull that off. Um, so larger drawings, I really struggled with in the game, and animations were hard. I'm not an animator. I tried to pick up as much as I could over the years because I've worked with a lot of animators, and I've done animation on backgrounds and UI and stuff. I love animating UI. The One of the big things for doing this game is because I wanted to hand animate all this UI, and programmers generally don't let me do that because it's too much work. So this time I was like, please, my wife, let me animate everything. So I love animating the back. I love animating UI, and backgrounds are okay, but it was the characters that I really had to learn, and it was I didn't do a lot of them until I did like all the backgrounds. I really put it off. I'm trying to change that for the future, but the character animation is tough.
And all of that, her wanting to animate everything, that was the hardest thing in the actual game itself for me was timing everything based on their animations. I I swear to you, I had gaps in the board up until like maybe 1 month before release. Like it was uh, it was really 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 hard to time it so that these veggies are moving down, these veggies are moving up, and these things are happening all within the, the frames of the animation, and the board can update, and this thing can match with this thing but can't match with this thing. It was really 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 hard. That was the hardest thing, is the timing. So if I have any recommendations to anyone who is making a game, don't let your artist animate everything.
How dare you?
And now I would like to know, what part of the game are you most proud of, both of you? If there's one thing about the game that you're really proud of the work you did, which aspect is it?
Do you want to go or will I
Oh
go?
god. I mean, honestly, the whole thing. But um,
Of
I
course,
I
yeah.
can't tell you how proud I am teaching myself to code and writing for something. I have wanted to be both of those things since I was a kid, and I have been neither of those things until we did this by ourselves. And I am immensely, immensely proud of doing that and getting there.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What am I, 47 years old, 48, and I can't even remember. Oh my god. Uh, and so it's never too late for anything, really. So.
That's absolutely admirable and inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. You're kind of like the protagonist of the game who turns into a magical bunny.
Yes.
You turned yourself into a writer and a coder.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is. Um, I'm so happy to get it out. I've never worked on anything this large before, this much scope and this long of a dev cycle. So very proud of actually finishing something this large, um, for like a specific thing. I'm really happy when I there's a specific moment that can happen when people first enter Rose's shop in episode 2, that a certain kind of person will gasp and pause when they first see her, when they first see Ro and that whole vibe. I really like that. I really like catching that moment, and I'm really proud of that moment of like, I really wanted to feel like you walked into a record store that was way too cool for you, and the cashier knows it. Um, that's the mood I wanted when you walked in there, and people will play it, and I'll see them like gasp and get intimidated immediately, and I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Absolutely, and that was also my reaction at first.
Great. Perfect. I'm glad.
Also, welcome Raiders, welcome in. We're in the middle of a Q&A session with two wonderful game developers. Oh, sorry, I should be pointing this way. Um, that made the game Princess Farmer.
Wait, Trish wants sips, by the way, Shirley.
She can ask for sips here.
And so now I am wondering, what comes next? Do you have any plans for future games? What kind of games? If there's anything you want to reveal, of course, I understand you may want to keep some surprises. Maybe a Princess Farmer 2?
There's so there's things we can't say yet, but we are working on new Princess Farmer stuff. Um, we are working on quick play modes, which we can talk about. Um, we won't get into super details, but we are working on expanding that, and it's because of what people have been asking
Yeah.
for. Um, the for other projects, I'm trying to spin up a visual novel project because I really want to do that. Um, and that's pretty much our immediate. I'm going to try to get some time to get some concepts out for how I want a visual novel to work, like how I was doing for Princess Farmer 3 years ago, um, while also working on Princess Farmer things.
Mm-hmm.
So are you planning to work together for the future? Are you planning to hire more people,
But
or you're just happy with how things are?
I'm hoping we're still working together. Do we still get to work together?
Yeah, I hope
Okay.
so.
Okay. I think that's still the plan.
Yeah.
We've already talked about. I've been mocking up visual novels for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've talked about it so many times. I'm just gonna pull the trigger and try to do something that we can
Mm-hmm.
try to actually make a build out of instead of just art mock-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But we have we have other things going on. But
Yeah.
Princess Farmer is demanding, so um, we're dealing with Princess Farmer first.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want Princess Farmer to be around for a while and updated
Yeah.
and all that. So it's
Especially with the format, we can, the format is, we've been saying it's season one of Princess Farmer,
mhm.
um, and the format is episodic tapes. So it is set up in a way for us to add more episodes.
Oh, that's good to know. That's very exciting.
Mm.
I would like to ask if anyone has any questions in the chat. Do you have any questions about the game, about game development, or anything you'd like to know about the two developers that we have here, Sophie and Charlene? So let us know if you have any questions. And in the meantime, let me find the link to the game. It sounds like something that is up your alley and that we excited you with this game. I highly encourage you to take a look at it and see if it's something you would enjoy because I personally very much enjoyed it.
Well, we're on all
So
sorts of things.
yeah, yeah, we're on Xbox, PS4,
Switch.
Switch,
Oh, great.
yeah, yeah, and Epic. So
Right, Steam and Epic.
So Lamenti is asking, how long did the artwork take you?
The whole development. Um, it was about 1 year of backgrounds, I think. Right?
yeah, that sounds about
Um,
right.
I spent about a year just doing the backgrounds because someone had a brilliant idea of having scrolling levels with parallax, and um, they wanted to make it exciting or something. Um, so that took me about a year to do 9 episodes of backgrounds. That was the biggest bulk of it for sure. And by the end of it, I had gotten a lot faster. I had learned a lot of tricks after like a year of that assembly line. So it would have been faster had had I known what I knew by the end. It would have been significantly faster, but that's not how things work.
Mm.
Um, Everything else was way smaller by comparison, but it was definitely the getting the backgrounds done was a year. Everything else was the rest of the development time.
Wow, yeah. I can imagine since you were basically the only person, right, working on all the art. And it's
Yeah.
a lot for
So
sure.
I'm doing the UI art, the character art, and the background. So it's all the art that you see, every visual thing you see. And I don't like generated effects. Um, we tried. I don't like them. So I had to hand animate all the effects too, which also was a processor load. So that became a thing where it's a very simple game, but it bogged things until very recently. B was able to do such a good job cleaning things up, but for a lot of our development, you had to have a pretty beefy computer to run it.
Oh, that is so interesting. And we have Trisha asking, how many bunnies are there? What a great question.
I don't know. Like unique speaking roles is something else. Because
Mm-hmm.
we do have a set amount of speaking role bunnies.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole bunch of background bunnies that don't say anything.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't want to give away how many we have.
Do we have like 12-ish main bunnies?
uh, Probably. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And if I may ask, what drove the idea of having bunnies as characters opposed to, I don't know, dogs or lions or whatever?
I really like drawing bunnies.
And that is a perfectly valid answer.
Yeah, it was literally just that. At the time, I was um, I was drawing bunny portraits of people. I was bunifying. Um, I like to call it. Um, I just really like drawing bunnies. So when we were, I think it started as a bunny. It was always a bunny, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think she was ever not a bunny for all like 10 years that it's been concept art.
Was there a bird at some point? A quail?
No,
That was the
no,
witch.
that was different. That was a different
Mm.
set of things.
Okay.
But those were still bunnies with quails. Those weren't quails with bunnies.
Oh, okay.
It was bunnies with familiars.
Got it.
Um, so it was always the bunny. At one point, Gaia was a
Mm.
like a caribou,
Mm-hmm.
but she got changed into a bunny. At some point, I decided everyone's going to be bunnies because I like drawing them, and it's a little easier to unify um, characters that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure. I thought maybe there was a little bit of a statement, about when we think of bunnies, we think of like the Playboy bunny, and then there's the fat bunny.
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe that was a statement, but
Yeah.
maybe I read too much into it.
Oh, Charlie
No, I
does not
just
do puns.
I really don't. Any puns you see in the game, I didn't come up with, except for Tuxedo Mask.
Yes.
That's my single pun.
Mhm.
Otherwise, no other pun was registered or made by me. Um, yeah.
But statement or not, I just love the fact I forgot to mention it earlier because we got sidetracked, but the fact that they're bigger and there are all sorts of colors and that the player gets to, buy different colors. I think that's very
Mhm.
cool.
Have you
It
Um,
seen the
was
sparkles?
yes.
Have you seen
right. We have
sparkles?
sparkles.
It's amazing. Rabbit is asking, what impact did the pandemic have on development? What a great question.
I think I guess we started development when the pandemic started.
No, it was
Or
it
were
was in
we
February. No, it was 2019
were we a
February.
year before? Oh
Yeah,
my
I
gosh.
know. I know. It's weird.
Um, so we were already solo and on our own, like as in um, living in our studio.
Hmm.
So nothing really changed because we're still remote and we're still working on our own.
Hmm.
What I guess we had no chance of going to any shows, which is definitely different and impacts development. Because I think, especially with Whitethorn with us, we would have been able to hit up a show
Hmm.
um, if not for shows being a terrible idea.
Hmm.
Going in person hasn't been great. So um, apart from that, and just the the sinking catastrophic depression that kind of crushes you at all times. So
Mhm.
we wanted to make as uncrushing a game as possible and as loving and comforting and
Positive.
yeah, and as positive and uncynical as possible.
I think one of the biggest changes for the pandemic is that we started homeschooling during that time.
Yes.
So that took up a lot of time as well. So development would have been faster had we not had that. And we're still doing it. So
Yeah.
um, our our kid has just responded so well to it. So it's going well. Um, but yeah, I also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Well, just before the pandemic hit. So it, um, you know, really tied us to being at home, and it was good that we weren't going out
Mm.
because I was having trouble with it anyways. So yeah.
Oh, for sure, I can definitely imagine. I guess that's the upside of you two working together as wives, is that the pandemic did not really change anything in terms
Mhm.
of, you know, meetings or things like that because we're always
Yeah.
together.
It was a rough, yeah, the homeschooling was hard to figure out how to work around, both for figuring out how to teach our child. It turns out I'm not good at it. So it was finding who can teach, how can we teach our child, how can we work with her to teach her, and how can we still have the energy to work on our own stuff because we have to release at some point. We gotta actually get out there.
For sure. Was there ever a trap of always wanting to add more and make everything better, polish the fact that, you know, you always want to make your game better and never end up publishing it? Did you ever fall into that trap as creators and artists?
I think the 9 episodes kept us in check.
Yeah.
So in in fact, anything that wasn't attached to those episodes, we ended up cutting.
Mhm.
Um, so we just focused on the story, the 9 episodes, um, and that was it. So I feel we did as much as we could, and we focused on what we wanted, and we released what we wanted. We weren't really pressed to release the we had to release, but it wasn't like Whitethorn. It was like this has to happen.
Mhm.
We uh, we released when we were ready, and I feel it went well because of that. And now we're adding stuff that we didn't get to. Um, but I feel we scoped
Mhm.
better than we could have.
Mhm. It was that initial big scope explosion,
Yeah.
and then since then it's just been pretty much the plan. So yeah.
Once we had it figured out on here's how an episode is going to work, here's how the screen is going to flow, here's how conversations are going to work, here's how the gameplay is going to work in the scrolling screens. Like once we had that down, it was then just now we put content into it. But that was a big thing to get over that initial build, figure out how things are going to work.
Oh, that's great. Are there any last minute questions for B or Charlene or both? Or do you have any last words or anything you'd like to address, B and Charlene? Do
I think I really want people to know just how positive the game is and how cared for you will feel, and that's a really important aspect. And
Mm.
you can never lose a level, you can never lose progress. Guy is always going to be proud of you. So like if you're struggling mental health wise, like everyone else, just to have a safe place, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. That is so true.
We, yeah, it was really the goal was to try to, um, as we were developing, more people were entering our lives that we wanted to represent in the game. So that's how we would end up with more and more pronouns in the game. That's how we end up with more identities. Is just we wanted to reflect and be authentic to the world around us and the people who were close to us and in our lives. Um, so we just really wanted to make a healing game for ourselves, and hope that other people would like it and need that too. But that's really what we tried to do.
Absolutely. I can definitely feel how much heart you've infused and how much of yourselves you've infused into the game. That's something I really appreciated from the game as well.
I'm
Perhaps one
glad.
last question by Ravager. So, working on the game relationship wise, if you're comfortable answering that question, of course, did making it together reveal anything new and fascinating about each other?
Ooh, definitely. I think we found that we fill each other's um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not blanks. I was going in the wrong direction. We fill each other's um,
Gaps.
gaps
Yeah.
where just because I came in as the game designer and the artist, like that was my background, that doesn't mean that that's what I was supposed to do. So finding the things like that Toby is great at writing dialogue, but she doesn't like doing the story. Where I like doing the story beats, but if I'm doing the dialogue, there's going to be too much swearing and it's going to spiral off. Like it just won't be in control. Um, the level design, like we brought up, I didn't care about balancing. I didn't. Um, I couldn't have cared less about the balancing. I was just like, put it 2 minutes. I'll just play 2 minutes. That's fine. 2 minutes and make me get 500 beats or something. Um, so it was finding those things that were unexpected about the other person that, oh, you're actually really good at filling this aspect that um, I couldn't. And I don't think we fought too much. Our child would keep saying, "You're such a good team," because we just we listen to each other, we respect each other, we didn't fight about things. The frustrations would often come from just the situation, not from each
Mm-hmm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, if it's frustrated, it's because, oh, I screwed something up. I feel so frustrated, and I'm so sorry for wasting your time, kind of thing. Um, but otherwise, we didn't really fight. We're not fighters.
No, we've been together over 20 years now.
Yeah.
1998 is when we met, and yeah, we've been in love since then. So
Hmm.
we're I don't know, we're a really good pair, and yeah, I mean they say you're supposed to fighting is part of a healthy relationship, and we just never found that to be true. We're just I don't know,
We
we
didn't
just
fight
don't
often.
know.
We just to go in because we're on Qweerty, so our second date, I had moved um, to be in the city with her because I was living 5 hours away, and so I came over for a first date, and then a second date I moved just to really like
Hmm.
that's a good lesbian date.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's wonderful to hear that two partners in love can also be two wonderful partners in work as well. We often hear
Mm,
people say, "Oh, don't mix the personal and the professional," but it's so wonderful and inspiring to see a great pair that works in both, right, and complement and grow each other, both in the workplace and at home as well.
it's been lovely.
Yeah, I love it.
Hmm.
I we get to do this forever. Please buy your game.
Yes, yes, please do. We always encourage people to support fellow LGBTQIA indie developers. We know how difficult it is to make it into the game industry, so please support them if you can. And speaking of, could either of you drop your Twitter page in the chat for anyone who would like to follow your developer page and see anything of behind the scenes of the making and your upcoming projects as well, so that we stay
Sure.
updated.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're putting the
Oh,
Samobee
the
account,
link
right?
is blocked.
Yes.
I will actually
Oh,
find it myself. Sorry, that's my bad.
okay.
Let me do this real quick. There it is. Here is the link.
Great.
Oh, and let's hydrate with water before we have some closing thoughts. Thank you very much, Trisha, for looking after our well-being.
Yes, thank you.
So it's been absolutely wonderful to spend time with you and to ask those burning questions I had after playing the game. Once again, I highly encourage everyone to try it out, and I look forward to seeing your new projects as well and further developments of Princess Farmer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
This was lovely.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So stay around, everyone. We will be raiding out in a few minutes. And of course, if you have any further thoughts or questions, feel free to chat on the Discord, our Qweerty Gamers Discord. And I'm sure that the two developers would appreciate any likes, any follows, any retweets on their Twitter page as well. So I wish you all
Absolutely.
a fantastic night. Thank you again, Bea and Charlene, for your generosity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.